Welcome to the Pitmaster Podcast. We're barbecue competition competitors that aim to share information, advice, tips, and tall tales about our favorite pastime. Head over to thepitmasterpodcast.com for all things Pitmasters, or follow us on your favorite social media platform.
We won the Open in '98, and that was with 400 teams.
The thing is, when people tell me, hey, I did your recipe, and my family thinks I'm amazing now.
Right? Everything barbecue is we are arguing that Jerry spring up is like, I'm not going to her door, and I say, Sue, got some barbecue for you. And she say, thank you, Tuffy. And it just kept going, and then as time got further along, started winning and doing real well, and I developed a lot of rubs and seasonings, and it snowballed from there.
Damon had this ridiculous sense of being able to look at a rub and he can name it. I'll never forget, so he looks there and he goes, hey man, I see what you're doing over there. Well, I got that Sunburn Docks and Plowboy's bottle. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Here are the hosts of the Pitmaster Podcast, Rusty Monson, head pitmaster of Salt City Barbecue, and the two-time grand champion pitmaster of Smoke Ain't No Joke Barbecue, the Anthony Luan.
Guys, we have Mark Williams from Swine Life here today talking to us about his experience in competition barbecue and his new YouTube channel, and then also SCA, and then every kind of thing in between. So let's introduce yourself. How you doing, man?
Pretty good, man. I appreciate the invite. This was kind of caught me off guard last week with the invite, but it's definitely a pleasure to be here.
Well, you can blame Malcolm for that because he's always talking about you.
Figures. We won't go there.
Well, yeah, I go shopping a lot for rubs and stuff. And like I said, I picked, I just, okay, this sounds really bad, but I picked yours up because your bottles are so cool looking. I'm like, that is a cool bottle. I'm going to grab that. So I grab it and I keep it home and I cook a rib on it, and delicious. Awesome. Just straight up with your Swine Life, with the grind. That was all I used. So I just wanted, because I like that kind of stuff. I'm not into fancy when I'm home because I do competitions. And so my wife starts putting them on her eggs, and I think we were talking about this earlier, and then that's all she wants to use is this Swine Life rub now. So
that kills me on eggs, though. Like, I never would have thought.
It's crazy. I don't know. But they're good. It's really good. So so tell us about yourself, man. How did you get into barbecue? Where did that all start?
So we originally was big into catering. So I lost a close friend of mine growing up to a motorcycle accident, and we done a fundraiser at the time, and that's the first time I've ever cooked a Boston butt a day in my life, and we had a blast. And my dad was getting ready to retire. So, you know, we kind of fell back on that as like his hobby time during his retirement. And we bought an old hickory and, you know, just started catering for ball teams and churches or just whatever. And I got the itch. I was like, man, we got all the equipment. Let's compete. So we done like a small backyard little contest, maybe 10 teams, and took grand in the first one. And I'm like, man, this is easy. Like, anybody can do this. Went to the first pro division, KCBS, and got waxed. So that's kind of where it started, you know. And I'm not one to take defeat real well. And that's when we met Malcolm. We took their class, and it's been a journey ever since. You know, it's been a long road, but it's been a great time.
It's awesome you stuck with it after getting beat.
Yeah, it was.
Usually it's the other way. People win and then they get hooked.
Yeah, it was a little bit of humble soup, I guess you'd say.
So you started in competition, what, 5 years ago? Is that right?
7 years ago. I guess it was 2013 was our first KCBS contest.
What did you start cooking on when you first started?
We showed up with a old hickory ELIB.
Oh, nice.
And I think it's a 50 butt capacity rotisserie. And we had it down to art to cook on that for contest and run it straight charcoal. And it was a great pit. I mean, it was an overkill for a KCBS contest, but it was a cooking pit. And I would go back and cook on it tomorrow. You know, it's a good pit.
They are. I cook on Southern Prides at the restaurant, and I was nervous, you know, because the gas assist. Of course, you don't use the gas assist at the KCBS, but you can do both. But I have a gas assist, and I'm shocked how good of a product that thing turns out. It's really, really good.
I mean, you run charcoal in a bed, you know, a bed of coals just like you would in a normal pit, and I found you have to put a lot more wood on it to get the same smoke flavor. You know, you're not really going to over smoke. If you do, you're burning a ton of wood, but it takes it and goes.
Yeah. They're actually pretty awesome. So when did things kind of kick in for you where you're like, okay, we can do this? And then where did the rubs come from in the middle of all that? Did you guys do your own rub, or were you using others at the time, or how did that come about? At
the time, we were just using commercial rubs. I mean, a lot of Killer Hogs, the barbecue rub. We use a lot of Big Papa stuff. I mean, just toyed with everything. 2013 was a learning year. 2014, I think we got our first reserve, and that was when I realized, this is a lot more to it than just cooking barbecue. I mean, it's, I deer hunt, I duck hunt, and I get to adrenaline rush, and it's the same cooking barbecue as it is if I'm sitting in the deer stand and kill, a monster deer, and you got a lot of heart and soul in it. People think, like, why do you keep doing it? I mean, you meet great people, and I'm sorry, but if you don't get a little choked up on your first grand of reserve, you might as well quit there. I mean, it does something special.
I agree. Like, except for I shake a lot more when I shoot a deer. It's like, but
it depends. When you're right there at that brisket call and you just got second or first in brisket and you think you got it, and you're shaking pretty good there.
Oh, it's the best.
Right. I've won 2 grand champions, and both of them didn't hit me until about 3 hours later. It's like, I actually won. Holy crap! I actually won. It was just, I didn't know what to say. It's like, it's so much going through your head, and just, I don't know, man. Like, I didn't get that adrenaline rush until it was like delayed. And same with archery, with bow hunting, dude. It's like, I'm in the moment, then after I harvest animal, then I'm like, whoa, this just happened. I don't know if it's my reactors are delayed or what. I don't.
No, but, I mean, part of it too. So we done well in 2014 and realized we were kind of, heading in the right direction. We were by no means the best out there and never plan on being the best out there, but we were enjoying where we were at and having a good time. 2015 rolled around. First contest out of the year was the Tupelo barbecue duel. And back then, before they made it actually a dual contest, I mean, it was nothing to have 110 teams there. And it was 110 from everywhere. Wow. And we got I think it was a second place chicken and maybe a second or third in ribs. And that was the only 2 calls we got. And I was like, man, that's great. I was tickled to death, and we got grand. We had 11th and 12th in pork and brisket. Wow. And ended up getting, I was floored. We were not expecting it. And everybody kind of looked at us when they got done and was calling like reserve and grand. They were pointing at us. I'm like, no, like we're not even close, but the stars aligned, and it was wide open from then on.
You guys took first place at the Jack Daniels World Champion Invitational. That was a big one. 93 teams. Second place in ribs. That must have been. I would have been floored on that one.
I felt good about pork. I think pork. I can't remember exactly what it was. It didn't kill us. I mean, we were still in the running, and brisket we bombed in, and I still like wake up at night and be like, I can't believe that happened. Like. And the thing is, I knew it bombed when we turned it in. I knew we screwed up. It was a little bit colder that morning, and pulled it out. Everything was perfect. Sliced it. It was looking great. Laid it in the jus, slid it back in the cooker, and just keeping it warm while we were doing some other things right before we were getting ready to turn the box in. And it's like you just shocked it, and it just went to rubber. And I mean, it pulled great when we sliced it. Everything was money. And I was like, man, I felt really good about it. And we put it in the box. I knew then we done messed up, and it just happened. And that was really a gut wrenching. I mean, I was floored to actually get a call to the Jack the first year we've ever even had a chance. And of everything else, just being able to go. And it was a lot of emotions that day, but I still, just wake up like, man, brisket got us.
Oh, bummer. So explain that a little bit to like the backyard guys that get into us. So when you say you shocked it, was it just because you were playing with it and it just got cold that day? And then just kind of go through that for the
backyard guy. So that whole, it was a frost on the ground. So it was probably in the 40s, mid 30s that morning. So, I mean, it was cooler. And the brisket had come off at like 8 that morning, had it in Cambro, took it to like 208, 209. Everything was a normal day. Pulled it out after we got the pork box turned in. I usually try to pull it out to where I'm not rushing it. I can take my time slicing, and I keep a pan of hot jus right there beside us, and I just lay them back in it. And got everything done. And we had like 5 minutes before the straight up turn-in window was open. So I was like, all right, laid it in jus. I've done it 1,000 times. The jus plenty hot. And I don't know if just going from inside the trailer outside where it was 40 degrees, I don't know. And it could have, it may have needed a few more degrees in the finished temp, definitely wasn't a fluke. It's something I've done. It's no doubt that I screwed that brisket up that day, but that morning, everything felt fine. And when I sliced it, the brisket, you could drape it over the knife, pull apart easy. And I looked at my brother and I was like, we got a good brisket today. I wasn't floored by it. I mean, we wasn't even cooking Wagyu then. We were still cooking, just whatever we get sourced locally. We hadn't made that step to Wagyu. And so I was tickled to death. And when I put it in the box and I grabbed the slice out of you and it was like a 2x4, and it wasn't draping over my knife anymore, I was like, this ain't good. So
Bummer.
Bummer. But it happens. I mean, hey, maybe one day we'll get to go back and redeem ourselves. So
yeah,
that's always the goal for me. Is like when I first started, it was like I want to go to the Royal, and then you kind of figure out what the jack really is, and you're like, nah, it's the jack. That's the one you want to go to.
The jack is the contest. That is by far, that was the first contest my wife ever went to and actually stayed. And she was one of the ones like, I can't believe you're spending this much money on contest every weekend. You're buying all these briskets you're doing. And she was like, she wasn't against it, but she never caught that adrenaline rush. Mm-hmm. And we're sitting there at the very back of the crowd, the little shed at the jack is packed with people. And we're just sitting there enjoying the view and, hanging out, socializing. They call chicken. And I mean, I felt good about our chicken, but you're at the jack. I mean, you feel good about your chicken and still get a 50th and, tickled to death. So I was just there, I was just glad to be there. And of course they don't call your team name out. They'll call you, hey, these guys from Hernando, Mississippi. And they get all the way down to first place and they say Hernando and it hit. Mm-hmm. And like, I realized we're the only guys here from Hernando. So that's got to be us, and, we stood up, and by the time I got out of my chair, both my brother's wife and my wife were running down the aisle like they were on Price is Right, slapping hands, And I was like, I thought y'all said y'all were just going to take pictures. And before we got to the aisle, they were already standing up there holding the trophy, like flagging us on. And I'm like, what happened to y'all? Y'all the ones like, why are y'all doing this? But ever since then, she's never missed a contest. She has been there at every one.
Well, gosh, then you got chicken. They got called second place ribs. And you're like, gosh, I bet we got this thing.
I didn't get that cocky. I can't. I'm not that kind. I've wanted to think that. In the back of my mind, I'm like, holy crap, And a good friend of ours, Danny Montgomery, he come from all the way around the crowd and come over and he was just in tears. He's like, y'all boys has got it. Mr. Danny, no, we don't. You didn't see the 2x4s I put in that brisket box. So we don't have it. And I wasn't disappointed. I mean, it's one of them things that happens, if it hasn't happened to you, you hadn't cooked enough. It's going to happen. One of the categories that you screwed up is going to bite you. And so, I mean, we were just floored, and I was texting everybody I knew back home that, we cooked with. And I was like, hey, we just got a second place. They're like, no way. And I was like, we got first in chicken. And we had a crowd rooting for us. But when you go to the jack, you're competing against the best of the best. And just to hear your name called once is all I'd ever ask for. So,
yeah, definitely just showing up, having the opportunity to be there and with that whole experience.
But it's haunting, like you'll go first place chicken, second place ribs, do pretty well in pork. And then one thing kicks your butt and man, you just sit there and I personally, I'll harp on it, and I'll tell my team, I'm like, listen guys, we're doing brisket for the next year, every single day. Come over to my house. That will never happen to us again. What kind of game plan do you put together when that kind of stuff happens? Is it something like, you just brush it off? You're like, all right, it was what it was. Let's move on. Or do you just like, all right, we need to really tackle that? Or do you think it's overthinking it to do something like that?
I don't think you're overthinking it. Because, I do a lot. Like back then, I don't practice like I did then, but back then we were practicing a lot. And, you could nail it every weekend at home, but it always goes that way. What you cook at home is always awesome. And, you always like, man, I wish I could do that at a contest. How come I can't? And I got to the point to where I would literally go to our cook trailer and practice out of the trailer. And if I didn't have it in the trailer or something wasn't right, I just went without and had to learn to adjust. And one of the things that somebody told me, and I can't remember who exactly told me this, but it's not how well you can actually cook a product, it's how well you can fix a screw up and learn how to, adapt and overcome. And that's something that I really, after that, no joke, I'm not saying this because brisket done that to us, but that was something that I tried to practice that winter. And, cooking, when it's cold outside, don't lay on the bed and say, oh, I'm not going to get up and practice today. Get up and practice. Cook in those conditions that you're going to run into at a contest. And, learn how to adapt and, perfect your product at that level. And we're by no means perfect, but I feel like we're a lot better now than we were 5 years ago.
Yeah,
I definitely agree with that, because that's one thing I struggle with is recovery. I've messed up a lot of stuff and did not know the recovery process, but just in the last 2 years or so, I should say, I brought that around. You know, if you get something too hot, there's techniques to cool it down, throw it in an ice bath and stuff like that. But that is definitely something to focus in on the competition, because I've turned in briskets that were just literally falling apart because I didn't know how to recover it, and I knew it bit me. So.
And you got to work in the elements is hard. Like, we live in Utah, and I mean, I have photos of us trying to go check briskets in a hailstorm, you know, and like when we go into barbecue, I swear it's going to snow and rain every single time. It looks like that, you know, in Rocky IV, you know, when he's fighting the Russian in that little thing and he's like in the snow, like that's us. And then, so we go to these contests and it's like 75 and nice, and like, we're screwed. I don't even know what we're going to do. How are we going to cook in this? This is beautiful weather. I don't know what we're going to do. But,
so in 2015, every gram we took, it was a monsoon. We were cooking. At the time, we didn't have an enclosed trailer. We were cooking in an open trailer and sleeping in a 10x10, like tailgate tent. And it rained nonstop, both contests. And then we get a trailer and we got, you know, air conditioning, we got heat, we got somewhere to get out of the weather. And it's like, you have to relearn to cook that way. And it's definitely adapt. You know, you got to adapt. And I didn't think a new trailer, a new cooker would throw us off that bad, but there was a downfall. You could tell, like, it was a lot harder to cook. Even though you were in a nicer trailer, it was still more difficult.
Well, good luck, Rusty. Rusty just got the trailer that he can cook out of. So,
and I know that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, oh crap, we should pull it up and cook out of it.
No, you'll appreciate it, but it is different. You know, it definitely. I thought, man, you know, we got cabinets, we got storage, we got prep tables, everything's here. It should be 10 times easier. And it took, I would say, 3 to 4 contests to finally get the rhythm back to where, you know, you run like a sewing machine. You know exactly what's going on, and it's just you just got to cook and do it and try.
Wow. That's that's freaking me out a little bit.
Yes. Thank you for planting that seed. Now I have. No,
it's good. It's good because, you know, you never know, because anything can change. You know, you're used to working out in the elements. We're used to working in cold conditions in a tent, you know, and wind getting us beat up and rain getting in. And when it's hot, we have a mister system and it's just all this stuff. Now you're going into a controlled air system. You know, it has to be completely different. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm going to have to bring that thing home for our next practice, and we're just going to act like we're at a contest.
Yeah, that, like what he said, though, empty that thing all the way out and then bring stuff in as you need to.
Treat it just like a contest.
Yeah, just bring it all and create it. It's a good opportunity for you, Rusty, to create that checklist with an empty trailer.
Mm-hmm. And cut the AC off when you're building your boxes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one. You get that trailer good in 65 degrees and you come in from 110 and it'll mess with you. It'll cool them boxes off quick.
That's one thing I sleep with the windows open in the wintertime. So that's probably something I should look into. So what do you guys cook on now when you do contests?
So this year is going to be our first year coming out. We're going to be cooking on the Outlaw stick burner. We got the open hybrid. We've been running it just about every weekend on some type of contest meat, ribs, pork, you name it. So that's my goal. First contest is going to be on stick burner. Never done it before, but we're going to swing for the fences, see how it goes.
And nice. So Travis Duffy, who was on the show several shows ago, he cooks on an Outlaw, and they're pretty slick. So tell us about what you like about those cookers.
I mean, I like the aspect of a stick burner. I got lazy because I've cooked on old hickories and pellet grills and everything. And I mean, you really get to focus on the cook with those pits. But it got to the point to where, you know, I was just wanting to do something a little different, you know, and there's a ton of stick burners out there that are just mopping the floor with everybody. And I want to see what it's all about. You know, I want to see what the craze is. And, you know, is it that much better of a barbecue off a stick burner? Mm-hmm. So I cooked on a Jambo last year with Malcolm at Memphis and May and kind of learned the stick burner and just how it went, and was very pleased with it. I like a lot of things it has to offer. And, you know, we reached out to Jay and, you know, he built a patio for us and we kind of toyed with it, you know, for the YouTube videos. And then I got the itch and I called him and said, I got to have a big one. You know, we gotta go full bore. And he just happened to have one that was, I think it was one that he had built and something went wrong or the order didn't come through, and he just had it sitting there. He's like, well, I got this one. Would you be interested in it? I'm like, let's make it happen, you know? So drove up there, picked it up and love it. I mean, it's a slick pit and it runs smooth as can be.
So someone who's moving to, let's say, a pellet grill or a charcoal, you use gateway drums. I use gateway drums. what is it, and it's super intimidating when you want to move into a stick burner. So what is the learning curve? Is there one, or is it just more of something you have to just be around more often than not?
I think it's really not, a quality stick burner is not that hard to run. Now, you go buy one of these ones from like Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever, yeah, you're going to fight it. But when you get to these pits now, they're building with, insulated firebox, and these guys are spending, years of their life developing the airflow and figuring out how much, your stack's got to be this long to draw this amount of air to run this temperature. I mean, it's a science behind it. And the Jambo, the Outlaw, you literally go out there, get you a bed of coals going, and as long as you put a split on it every 45 minutes to an hour, it'll do its thing. I mean, you can almost run a fire too clean. I mean, that's the biggest thing is now as I'm used to cooking on other pits to where we're almost losing a little bit of the smoke flavor because the fire's running that clean.
That's interesting.
Right. So that's what I was going to ask too. Like, where does your pit like to idle at? Is it like 275, like the Jambo? That's usually where those like idle at.
What I found most of the time it'll run 300, but the way that barrel is, and the one I have is actually a 28-inch barrel. I'm not sure what I think a Jambo may be a 28 too, but the thermometer's a little bit higher on the door. So 300 on that dial is really 275 on the grate temp. So you're right there at it. And I don't mind it. I mean, I'll usually run 275, 300, and then once I wrap, I'll let it roll 325 and push it on through, Yeah.
275 is my place where I like to run. Uh-oh.
So when you go to, let's say, do you use drums for competitions, or is that something you still use in your old Hickory for that?
We do a good bit of it. The old Hickory, we have a AMM, and then we still have the rotisserie, so we still use them. I mean, I love the pits. They'll spoil you.
Right. So what's the difference that you guys, so is this something you're like, okay, we're no longer just going to sit and forget this. I mean, we're going to have to sit up in competitions and, cause I think a lot of people move away from them for that reason. And now you're kind of you're going towards the fire, so to speak, with it as far as competition goes.
I mean, the cook time on a stick burner running that temp is half of what it is on the other pits. Just like on a drum. I mean, we're putting on at 5 and everything's done by 10. Okay. So sleep all night, you still get the same amount of sleep, but you get up early, get your coffee going, get the fire lit, and it's kind of that atmosphere of you're cooking barbecue now. It brings back that old school vibe, I guess.
Right. And then are you cooking in pans too, or are you just going straight on the grate?
Straight on the grate. I'll put pans underneath the grate at the bottom, and it catch 90% of it. And then you basically I take just one of them heavy duty paper towels and wipe it out, and it's ready to go.
Awesome.
Right. Yeah. Cause that's a lot of things I've noticed for the people that don't follow the grill maintenance on their offsets, they'll catch fire.
Yeah.
It takes a couple of hot ambers and that whole pit will just go right up.
And it's out of control then. There's no putting it out.
Right.
And you can also cook crab legs on those, apparently.
Very good crab legs.
I never had thought about that in my entire life, is cooking crab legs on like when you think stick burning, like I want to make the best brisket ever. Mark's over like, we're going to cook the best snow crab legs ever.
Ever. We've cooked them on the old Hickory several times. It was a local restaurant here that was a barbecue restaurant on Friday nights. That's what he would do. You go in there and get all you can eat crab legs for like $30. And we were there every night, like every Friday night. And I was like, what do you do? He's like, nothing. I just put them on there and let them just reheat. Cause I mean, they're already steamed. They're fully cooked. And so we tried it and I was like, this is awesome. And I tried to do the spritz. I was like, I'm going to try it before we do a video, just see if the spritz actually does anything. And as soon as you spray them crab legs, you can watch it it sucks it in the crab leg, and they are packed full of moisture. Wow. And I'm hooked on it now.
I love crab and I love barbecue. That was super unique.
Well, I'm looking at your page over here, man. You have this, what is it? This beef that you just posted on there. Are you cooking that on your offset as well too? Because that looks amazing.
Hang on, which one are we looking at?
Just the one that you just posted.
You make me looking.
Yeah, it just says.
Well, you did one on the gateway the other day, and then you did one on the PK, if I remember right.
Yeah, it says one heck of a meal. Who knew chopped veggies could make beef so good?
I can't remember which one that is. Are you on Instagram?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I'm sorry, a little off topic, but I just the whole crab leg, and then I looked at your Instagram. I was like, oh my gosh, this looks amazing with looks like mushrooms on the side there too, and I'm just like, oh man.
Oh, I think that was the.
You did a strip loin once. I remember with mushrooms on it.
Yeah, that might be it.
Yep, that was it.
Yeah,
that was
it. Yeah.
Well, you're all the way back to December. You went way back.
Well, it's just the first one that popped up on your website.
So I need to update the website then.
But it looks amazing, and it has no grill marks. So I'm assuming that you probably cooked that on.
We done that on the Kamado, the Gorilla Kong. So we set it up top and just basically roasted it, and that was a good strip loin.
Yeah.
So you obviously use a PK for SCA events, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just kind of go into the SCA spot. You've done a lot of SCA cooks. I think you said 25 in 1 year. Is that right?
I think so. We done 20 or 25, something like that in 2017. Everybody else was going to Fort Worth, and I could not buy a ticket, so I was chasing points trying to get there.
Oh man!
Just kind of tell people what would you tell someone who's new to it or was seeking advice? Maybe they're not doing so well in an SCA, and they just need something to, obviously you want to know a little bit more about them. But what's just something off the cuff you can say that is good advice for someone wanting to do these?
The first thing I done, or one of the first things, was we actually took the judging class. And is it the end all be all to learn it? No, but it gives you kind of what to look for as far as being a judge, and that helps you as a cook to know what to present to the judge, so he's looking for the right things. And now there's so many SCA like classes now. There's a lot of the top teams out there doing the classes, and it's worth it. I mean, I've never took a SCA class, but I've took a couple of barbecue classes, and it's like 10 years of knowledge crammed in a weekend, and it does, move you forward to kind of know what to look for and what these other guys are doing. Now, do I believe they're telling you everything you need to know? Probably not, because they still want to beat you, but you're still getting a good, a couple leaps forward to, get your foot in the door and get that first call. And it's just the biggest thing is have a good time, and meet people and socialize. And once you get close with, certain people that you're friends with, y'all are going to grow together and kind of like how y'all met, kind of trash talk each other. You're just going to make each other better. So,
yep. Who won that contest, Anthony? I forgot the one first we met and we were trash talking. Who won that one?
I think Matt did. Crooked Pigs.
Yeah. Who took second? I did.
You did. How many GCs do you have, Rusty? Do we need to bring this up? Do we need to do this now?
So what is your setup? You use a PK, right? So you're cooking on a PK. So what is your kind of setup? How does that look for you? Using like the lift off, you cook in a certain amount of time.
So we do recently, when we first started out, of course, learning, realized you could get 2 darker grill marks. At first everybody's like, I want them Sharpie colored grill marks that are just pow, and we learned that's not necessarily the best thing. So we got to where now we do, basically a minute and a half twist, minute and a half, and then flip it. And I'm not on the backside, but just maybe a minute on each twist, because I'm not worried about that. I've already got the presentation side done. And then that's when we go to the raised rack, close the lid, and just let it carry. And you can do that on any pit. We've done that on pellet grills. We've done very well because on pellet grills at SCA, just because there were so many people out there saying you can't cook a steak on a pellet grill. And I want to, at least try. And we had a good time doing that. We've cooked several with the M grills, the little bitty C4. It's a great little grill, especially if you're traveling a long ways away. Like when we went to World Food, that's what I took because I wasn't supposed to haul everything out of there. I mean, we were already cramped for space, so it worked out.
So I have a question. One thing that I'm struggling with on my SCA cooks is right there, pretty much right in the arch of the spinalis, right in the middle of the steak, there's that chunk of fat.
And it bulges up like a pillow.
It bulges up on me, yeah. So can you help me with that?
I'll take it when I'm trimming after I get it tied. And usually that little bulge is on both sides. So you take it and push it up, raise it above it, and cut you a pond out and just make a little divot. And then when it gets done cooking, it's going to bulge up again, but it's going to be level. It's not going to be bulged above the rest. So just cut that out, make a little bowl on each side and you're good to go.
That's awesome. And how do you determine the presentation side? Do you do that before when you're looking at it, or you're like, obviously you want to look at it and say, this is what we're using in presentation side, and that's just what you go with, and that's the one you make sure you get your marks on? So
usually I try to pick the side that has the least amount of fat facing up. That way, in case you do have that bulge of fat or anything like that, you can't see it. It's on the bottom side. So the side that's got the least amount of fat showing, usually, and I try to pick what they call the tri-muscle, the 3 hard, or whatever you want to call it, from the front of the ribeye. that's what I always pick. And a lot of times those will have that square fat really bad. So usually the front portion of that steak will not have that. So that's what I put as a presentation side.
Awesome.
And really don't matter. The only thing then is, no matter what side you use, just make sure to orient that steak in the box to where the spinalis is toward the front, where it's right up front, and you're good to go.
And you mentioned pellet grills. So if I'm looking to buy something, that M grill you're talking about is actually super convenient. It's literally a little box, and you could put it. We have a guy, Aaron Clement, who rides around on a motorcycle, and that's how he comes to SCA events. He just travel up here from Arizona, and he'll bring one of those in the back of his motorcycle. I mean, it's very compact. But if I'm looking to buy one, what are you really looking for? I mean, the pellet grill work. I mean, I know people they have contests where they'll just cook on chimneys and that's it. What would you tell someone who's looking just to get into it as far as their cooker goes?
So it's kind of up to the person. Now, what I would say is this going to be just your competitive grill, or are you trying to, persuade the wife to, hey, I need another grill at the house and I can compete off of it? That was my sales pitch at first. So, I mean, best of both worlds, the most versatile grill out there is going to have to be the PK. I mean, just because it's a small footprint, it's big enough you can cook for your family, and it's not that big a hassle to move around. But, if you're going to full blown just compete, I mean, it's endless. These guys cooking on chimneys. I enjoy cooking on the M grill just because it's so convenient. You literally take a pop-up table with that and a couple of rubs and you're good to go. And I mean, a lot of people, they haul the 360s around, the big PKs, but I mean, I'm trying to do as little bit of work as possible and come out with the best outcome. So,
right. So with your 25 contests that you've done, have you seen the next generation really starting to move in? Like my son, he's going to start competing if we can compete this year. There's another local competitor, his son competes. Are you seeing that next generation jumping into the SCA style as you go to all these comps? You
do. My nephew, he's 12 and he is 8 up with it. I mean, right now with all the quarantine going on, me and him's been competing every weekend. Like he'll pick a weekend, I'll pick a weekend, and we'll just swap steaks at the driveway and here you go. And there's family judges mine. And so it's great because it's so family based. I mean, competitive cooking in general is so based around family, whether it be your true family or your friends. And, bringing the kids up, hey, I've been there. So I'd much rather have a kid at a contest where you're with them than places they could be. So, it's right. I'm all for it.
Nice. And so you are seeing that more though, because you've seen Malcolm bringing his son and just see more just integrated people are like, especially probably because they lowered the age to 13, right?
And so, to me, it's neat. It's something, for a kid that age to have, like when I was growing up, if you didn't play, baseball or Boy Scouts when you was a kid, there wasn't that much offered for a child that age, whether it be boy or girl or not. And now that's just another venue for, a kid to get out and, be around people that are, going to lead them in the right direction and just have something for that child to do, and, still see the competitive aspect and learn. To me, the biggest thing is, learn defeat as a kid, as a young age, makes all the difference 10 years from there. Realize that you're not going to win every contest. You're not, not necessarily everybody gets a trophy. And I think that's great for these kids.
Well said.
me and Malcolm's little boy, we get pretty aggressive at contests. Usually when we cook with him, that's what his deal is, he don't care who he beats as long as he beats me. And it gets some pretty good wagers. I mean, we were in Kentucky cooking at Rib Lickers, and I think whoever lost, we got the chance to go out in the yard because we were staying in a little bed and breakfast and pick up whatever we could and make the nastiest thing in a Ziploc bag. And the loser had to put his hand in it. I was not fixing to lose that contest. I'm sorry, kid or not. It was on.
Right. Oh, that's awesome.
Dude,
it's a good time.
That's what we need to do. That's hilarious. That's great.
No, because there was geese and ducks at this one, and what was in that grass was not good. So,
right.
So I think it's also just because it's so much cheaper to do it. If younger kids, even in their 20s, it's hard for someone to get into that and spend the kind of money into a big contest. But SCA, it's easy. You show up with your cooker.
That's right.
That's it. Spend $120, $150 and you're good to go. Excuse me. But so let's kind of roll into your rubs then. So tell me, how did that come about? How did you decide, you know what, I'm going to come into these rubs? Because I see them a lot around. I bought your bottle, but I bought it. And then you see them here in Utah, actually, with a lot of people use your stuff. So what was that like? Like, okay, we're going to market this stuff. We're going to go for it. How did that come about?
It got to a point to where, we've been competing, and I wanted to kind of grow the brand and grow the business. And I mean, we were starting from zero. And we started making a rub, about 2015. We were toying with rubs, and I enjoyed just getting in the kitchen, mixing stuff up, and, just learning from it and trying it. Hey, this worked pretty good, or this was horrible. And, once we got in, more involved with barbecue, we realized that there was a lot more to it than just salt, pepper, garlic, and sugar. There's people mild to wild flavors out there. And we kind of started toying with it. In 2017 was the year, I guess late 2016 was the year we started actually making and running the Grind It contest. And we tried it, come out the gate, and it was killer on pork. I mean, I don't know if it was a contest in 2017 that we did not make top 10. And I was like, heck yeah, we actually got something, and gave it out to people. Hey, give us some feedback. And Michael's like, if y'all going to do something, you got to just take the jump. It's time to move on to the next step. And I was scared to death, because I mean, that's a big upfront cost, and you're investing a lot for possibly zero return. You have no idea. And so we done it, and it was nerve wracking. It was a long process. It took us about 9 months to get from our first sample sent to the co-packer to actually what was right. And that was the biggest pain. And then we get it out, actually somebody actually buys it. And I'm like, this is crazy,
So did you attack it just through like social media and everything? Because there's a couple people here local that are doing sauces and rubs, and they're really attacking like the farmers markets and the local gun shows and stuff like that. What advice would you give to them to be able to take their rubs and sauces to the next level?
Don't be scared to reach out to, there's a ton of great online stores, and, it sounds dumb, and you do feel kind of dumb reaching out. Hey, would you like to try my rub? Knowing they get that call or that email every day. But, just, hey, I'm not asking nothing. Just send them a sample. And a lot of guys, like a lot of the co-pack or the wholesalers we deal with, they'll be glad to take a sample, because they do want the next best product on their shelf. Anything they can get to make another sale in their store is, a bonus for them. So, we sent out, no joke, we probably went through a pallet of nothing but samples. And yes, it cost us money, and yes, it was just a loss. But that turned into, hey, we got co-packers now buying pallets at a time, and it's worth it. It's just get out there. And really, I think what was neat is before we actually started a YouTube channel, go to YouTube and search a rub, and you see other people already reviewing that rub, and you're like, it's out there. And that floored me. When I seen the first review on YouTube, I was scared to watch it. I was like, man, these guys are going to kill us. Like, I know they're going to hate it or something, but I mean, local is great, because that's kind of, that's your bread and butter. That's the people that buy from you because it is local. But you have to step outside that, and you have to get it out there. And, I don't know how many wholesalers we're in right now. I have no idea. My brother handles all that, but I never would have dreamed 2 years ago that it'd be where it is now.
That's crazy. And so you guys have 2 currently. What's in the future as far as you guys going to expand on those, or? So
we're going to kind of ride where we're at now for a little bit. I've been toying with some, like a beef style rub, but that's becoming so common. And I don't know if I want to jump into necessarily a flooded market, but I consider our grind and grit both a little bit outside the box, a little bit more unique flavors than your standard barbecue rubs or your standard APs. And I kind of want to stick to that. I want to have something that's, not your standard barbecue rub. I don't want the number 5 flavor off. I want something that's, going to be out there. Now, don't get me wrong. Number 5's won a bunch of trophies, but it's, I want something that's, unique to us, to where they know that's our rub. And it may sound corny to a ton of people, but that's the product I want to push.
Well, I see you got that paired up with the AP rub. I'm a big fan of the AP rub because it's full of MSG. So
yes. And the grit's got its fair share of MSG, and we've caught some hatred over that, but it works.
I mean, like like literally, it really didn't come together for me until I seriously had a one-on-one with Malcolm, and he told me the breakdown of it. And then after I started cooking with it, I could see the improvement of my barbecue. It's obviously, I don't want to sit there and put it on everything, but
sure you do.
On the competitive level, it's like cocaine for me. I got lines of MSG everywhere.
Yeah.
So that would be something that I've talked to my brother about, is coming out with a kind of an all natural, no MSG basic rub, but in the same sense, everybody's got salt, pepper, garlic in their cabinet. How are you going to sell them a salt, pepper, garlic rub, but we can add our twist, we got flavors out there that a lot of people don't think about. Like I never knew about honey powder until we started making a rub. I thought that was just, how do you get honey powder, or how do you get, granulated sugar? I've never heard of half this stuff. And, those flavors work and they make a big difference.
Or Worcestershire powder. Like the other day I was like, what? Okay, that's cool.
Maple powder. That was the good one for me.
Sugar.
I like maple powder.
So good. I always look for the MSG. I do. I'll buy it strictly based on the fact that this says MSG is one of the top ingredients, and so I'm like,
that's going to be the grit then.
Yeah. We have it here. Yeah. We have the grind and the grit here. So
is
that both.
Is that what you put on that steak when I was over at your house?
Me?
Yeah,
probably. I do use it a lot.
Because it was so good. It was really good.
I use it on ribs mostly. But I just kind of use it for everything. I have a couple in my cabinet that I just kind of just grab, like, oh, I'm going to do a skirt steak today. There's that one, so I definitely use that. That one's in one of the 5 rotations right now. So then you started a YouTube channel. Okay. And then, so you did, so this is interesting. So you did all this fairly recently. So you've started a rub and it's done well. And then you started a YouTube channel that did well. And both of those things are considered very inflated, markets right now, but you seem to have jumped into it and just hit the ground running. I mean, like your videos are watched. You got almost 18,000 subscribers.
18,000 subscribers. That's amazing.
Your fierce videos, it's crazy. So talk us about the YouTube channel and how that started.
So a lot of people know, and a lot of people don't know. I mean, we're very close with How to Barbecue Right and Malcolm. I mean, we literally are sitting until the quarantine, we were at the Mexican restaurant every Friday night talking barbecue. We're super close. So him and his wife, Shell, have both been basically the anchor that just, kind of kept us where we needed to be and influenced us and, just pointed us in the right direction. And, that was the number one thing. Cause when we started the rub, I was like, we're not a world champion. So how are we going to sell a product? How are we going to sell the rub? We're not, we're not you. We don't have that huge a following. What do you do? And he's like, build a following. And the best way to build a following is get out there, and that's when we started the Instagram channel. And then we started, YouTube. YouTube was, I still can't wrap my mind around it because we shouldn't be where we're at. For one, I'm just a Southern, been called Boomhauer of the barbecue, you just name it. I mean, I'm mush mouth. I'll own up to it. So, and
no, you shouldn't be talking like that because I'm looking at YouTube right now, and these are next level recipes that I want to go try. Like this cranberry jalapeno pork tenderloin slider.
That was my wife. She come up with that sauce, and it is killer.
I haven't even thought on that level yet. So I'm giving you definitely grade A on your YouTube channel.
Oh, we appreciate it. We learn every week. We try to do same thing with our rubs. We try to, be a little bit different and have recipes out there a little bit more unique. And a lot of the recipes that we do come from restaurants we've been to, and I'm like, that's a really good sandwich, but I think we can do it better on the pit or something similar, and just try it. The worst case is you cook something that's just mediocre, still better than bad, and fine tune it before you hit before you do a YouTube recipe for sure.
Yeah. Cause in the first videos I watched, we were going to we wanted to smoke pumpkin pie. And so I was searching for smoked pies and yours popped up and it was a
sweet potato
pie. Yeah. And so that was the very first one. I'm like, that's cool. Then I kind of watched, I guess I told you before I watched your YouTube channel a lot because you guys do have a lot of different stuff. Like I mentioned before, you have a crab legs and then recently you did a white sauce, but you have jalapeno in it. And it's just like little kind of cool kicks that you can do, but the things you don't really think about when you're smoking. Cause I don't think about smoking pies, you know, maybe a sweet potato pie, but then still it's like something I don't think about snow crab. And the way that you guys go about it is really it's entertaining. You know, it's like the way you guys present is really, it's just fun to watch. You know, you have a good personality. You're easy to like listen to, and the videos are just great. So I'm a fan. So,
and the kitchen is definitely a great backdrop as well too, because
that's my baby.
If you watch a lot of food videos, it's just a basic kitchen. You know, hard lighting, just white everything, but yours is actually.
I told my wife, I said, this was about a month ago. I was watching it and I was like, I want that kitchen. See how rustic that looks? And I think if I remember right, you have this the pot thing in the back where you fill the water up. I'm like,
we use it maybe once a year.
And see, that's what she said. She's like, we're never going to use it. I'm like, I would probably use that all the time. She goes, no, you wouldn't. But I'm like, that's cool. I like that stuff. That
kitchen. So we built that house. It'll be a year and a half ago. And my dad and brother designed that kitchen. So that's what my dad, when I was a kid, my dad had a custom cabinet shop at our house, and he built all those cabinets. We hand rubbed and stained all those cabinets. That kitchen was built 100% by my dad. So that kitchen is that's my baby. I mean, and we knew we were going to do that when we were building the house. I was like, I want it to be where we can film inside. So we kind of always, built the house around that. It sounds dumb, but it had to be done.
I wish I would have done that because ours is more modernish and it's kind of, and then in our countertop, I put a sink. I wish I would have put my range there, so you could like do stuff there. And if I ever did filming, I thought about that too. So, but, so the YouTube channel just keeps on trucking. How does that work for you guys? Is that like something you do? You have to keep pretty consistent, with that kind of stuff. And what do you guys have it scheduled out and all that fun stuff? So
usually if the weather's nice and nothing else is like going on, we'll try to film on Saturday. A lot of times that don't work because until here recently, we've never at home on the weekends. So if we were out competing or anything like that, we'd come in Saturday night and we'd reset up for Sunday and we'd film on Sunday. I would edit Sunday night, Monday night, and I would upload Tuesday night and turn it live Wednesday. And that don't leave you much time for anything else. I should be editing tonight, but I worked on it a good bit yesterday. So, and I try always, to keep one on reserve in case it's a weekend to where we don't feel like filming. We have one I can just edit, hit play and we're ready to go. So
and that's another thing I like about your YouTube channel. I think I'm looking at it. Your longest video is 16 minutes. That's perfect for me because I get like 12 minutes in and I'm like, can I see the final product? I'm skipping through parts and I miss half the recipe, but you have the perfect time. Like who doesn't have 15 minutes to watch how to cook a competition?
We try to be around that 8-minute mark. That's usually, I try to stay under 10. And most likely what is a 16-minute video? You still got it pulled up?
It's a competition style loin back ribs.
Yep. And see, that's what's crazy is when you start doing ribs and wrapping and glazes, man, it adds up quick. And it's hard to compress it down any shorter than that without making it look too jumbled,
Yeah. Well, a smoked brisket on here, but it's only 13 minutes. You don't have 13 minutes to learn how to smoke a brisket. You might as well just give up barbecue.
Yeah, that was a long day.
All this for 13 minutes.
Not very many people know this. We shot a brisket video back last fall, and it was perfect. I mean, like everything went smooth, turned out great, got all the way to the cut, and it was one of the first times I ever cooked a brisket fat side up. Every time we've cooked it for contests, it's always been fat side down. And I marked it, so I know which way the grain's going, everything. I reached under the corner of the flat. There's my cut. All right, let's start cutting. I got about 8 cuts in, and I cut half that flat with the grain. And I was like, 10 hours out there cooking this, and I just messed this whole video up. And I was like, I just dropped the knife and walked outside,
Oh, man.
You're like, I'm going to have a cry walk around the block real quick.
Then you came back and tasted like it tastes good too.
Good. But it happens.
A lot of people start up YouTube channels and they kind of filter out and they don't really work out. What kind of advice would you give someone who wanted to do something that you're doing as far as YouTube goes?
Be ready for work. That was, I think a lot of people's mind thinks, I can shoot a video and put it on YouTube and I'm going to make thousands of dollars, And that's the farthest from the truth. I mean, you have a lot of hours in just for that 6 or 8 minute video. I mean, if I had to figure it up, I mean, it's probably 24 to 30 hours, you know, in short videos of filming, editing, and getting it ready. So, I mean, I could see where you could get burnt out on it really quick, but if you truly want to do it, stick to it and, you know, be yourself and, you know, find your niche. You know, we get a lot of comments like, well, you're copying Malcolm Reed. Well, appreciate it. You know, I take that as a compliment because that is one of the best ones out there. And if I'm remotely close to him, I'll take it as a compliment. And, you know, yeah, I kind of based my videos off that getting started because I had to base it off something, you know. And as you do it, just become yourself and find your niche and stick to it. And I know I still got a long ways, you know, a lot to learn, but I enjoy doing it and we have a good time. And it's neat to, you know, be able to interact with people. And I would have probably never met y'all if it wasn't for YouTube. So you know, you never know the people you'll meet, who you'll, you know, get to socialize with. And it's a big difference.
That's very cool. So what's the future for Swine Life and everything you guys have going on? Is there anything you guys are looking forward to?
I'm hoping we get back to compete. I'm really let down about Memphis in May. You know, that broke my heart. I knew it was coming, but man, I'm ready to get back out there and compete and, you know, get to see the people we hadn't seen in a long time and see if we can still cook. We might have lost everything. So
you mean Memphis in November? Is that what they're doing in November or something like that? If I remember now.
October, I think first weekend in October 1st, which hopefully it'll be perfect weather. I hope. So
I never made it to Memphis in May, and it's a dream of mine. So I mean, I have a lot of dreams, but that's one of them.
Well, when I sat down with Malcolm, like he was so pumped, like he couldn't stop talking about Memphis in May. It must be amazing because that's all he would talk about. Like, and then in Memphis in May, and then you know that's like it sounds amazing.
Memphis in May is a roller coaster. So you're always pumped. Say January, you're pumped about it all spring. I mean, you're just practicing. And usually, like, we sit down and practice at least once, if not twice a month, full-blown Memphis in May, build the boxes, everything. And just try to, you know, stay dialed in with it. This year we hadn't because it got canceled, but you're always working toward that week of Memphis in May. And everybody thinks, you know, it's just a contest. But we load in on Sunday and not counting the whole week ahead of prepping. And we're at the river every day that week, you know, setting the site up, getting stuff prepped. You know, going to meetings, you know, doing sauce turn-ins on Wednesday, doing wing turn-ins on Thursday. And it's a whole week of just wide open work. And then once it's all said and done, you do the contest. And by Sunday, you're like, I don't ever want to cook Memphis in May again. Like, you're through with it. And it's every time we get everything loaded up, we get in the truck, we're going on the highway, and me and Malcolm look at each other and like, we doing this next year? I hope not. And then by June, we're like, hey, y'all ready to get ready for Memphis Bay, you know? So
it's like a long night of drinking, you know, you wake up in the morning, like, I'm never doing that again. 3 days later. That's how it works. Well, cool, man. We hope that you can get back on the trail. I mean, I know I want to. I'm itching. It's crazy how I was just so excited about this year and we got so into it. And then all of a sudden it went plump, and it's just sad because even now you're still hoping like, okay, there's one in September, please hold on, you know? So
exactly.
It's an interesting time to be a competitor, but hey,
so
man,
go ahead. No, man, you're good.
Just wanted to kind of wrap it up and say, thanks for coming on and hanging out with us. And that's where I want to go.
We definitely appreciate it, man. It's, I look forward to stuff like this. It's cool to, you know, see y'all, meet y'all, and, you know, kind of, I guch, have that relationship where, hey, I know y'all now. So we definitely appreciate the invite. It's an honor.
No, it's awesome to talk to you. Cause like I said, a lot of respect for what you're doing, a lot. So we appreciate it. We do too. So, hey man, have a good one. And thanks again. And hopefully we can talk to you soon.
Thank y'all.
Hey, thanks. Bye.